Good afternoon. Good afternoon. This is Rashad Mitchell coming to you live from my YouTube channel as I continue on my part series on the week that was college football's history and review. 1954 college football season. The week that was college football's history and review. I already did week one yesterday about the 1954 week. The games that were played during the first week from September 18th, 1954. So now today, I'm going to get into week number two. This is week two of the games that were played during September 25th, 1954. This is week number two, the second week, as I continue on this part series, the week that was college football's history and review, the 1954 college football season. So we're going to start on September 24th, 1954, because this game was played on a Friday, so obviously this game was played on the 24th of September. Now, number 15, Southern California beat Pittsburgh by a score of 27-7. More than 50,000 fans watched Southern California line bus frequent holders for sophomore tailback John Arnett, who had 118 yards on 15 carries and 3 touchdowns. But it took 20-point explosion to win it in fourth quarter after teams exchanged fists and several player banishments. Pitt Panthers recovered 2 fumbles inside USC 30-yard line in first quarter, but failed to cash either break. So their best chance came when fullback Tom Jenkins popped 17 yards to Troy 8-yard line. Near end of first quarter, starting tailback Aramis Dandor sparked USC with 47-yard punt return to the Pittsburgh 42-yard line. The Trojans took it in on 11 plays as sparkling sub Arnett went over from 2-yard line. Panthers tied it in the last minute before the half on a 49-yard touchdown pass to end deal Dick Scherer from halfback Henry Ford, former Pitt quarterback. So Panthers was able to tie it in the last minute before halftime. So Arnett scored on a 25-yard run early in the fourth quarter, and later charged 29 yards on punt return to Pitt's 45-yard line, which led to his 1-yard touchdown run after Duke's up thus had cleared. In the last 140, Trojans wingback Lyndon Crow caught 67-yard touchdown pass from sub-quarterback Els Kissinger to wrap up scoring. During week that followed, a Star is Born film starring Judy Garland was scheduled to premiere amid dazzling fanfare at Hollywood's famed Panthers Theater. Los Angeles Times sports writers Jack Gayer suggested that Warner Bros. Had been beaten to the punch by USC with its birth of star John Arnett. On the same Friday, Arizona State defeated Brigham Young 28-19 as rash of fumble recoveries caused in part by wet conditions spelled whipsaw 19-0 lead going to halftime. For BYU Cougars, biggest first half play came as rumbling heard of BYU blockers convoy guard Lau Hines on a 63-yard touchdown return, a mid-air fumble lost by Arizona State halfback Ruben Mandrill. Hines' touchdown made it 6-0 in the first quarter, and the Cougars ran off at halftime with a 19-0 lead as the fumbles also set up the second quarter, scoring runs by halfbacks Phil Euler and Jim Crittenden. Now BYU gave it all back in the second half, losing 4 fumbles and also giving up interceptions deep in own territory. So Sun Devils halfback Jim Bilton dashed 55 yards off tackle to pull within 19-7 in the third quarter. So BYU quarterback Ron Bean unsuccessfully chose to run on 4th and 2 at own 30-yard line late in the third quarter. And soon thereafter, ASC freshman halfback Bobby Mogado snatched the pass away from Cougars defensive back to weave 32 yards for a touchdown early in the fourth quarter. Mogado added 11 and 1-yard touchdown runs in fourth quarter to help Devils pull away. Next, number 18 Army beat South Carolina defeated number 18 Army by a score of 34-20. Starting all new ends and linebackers, Cadets defense was ill prepared for South Carolina's split tee with its two equally skilled backfields rambling for 446 yards, rushing to score on devastating marches of 95, 97, and 80 yards. But halfback defensive back Mike Ziegler raced 41 yards on an interception return to give Army short-lived 14-7 first quarter lead. As the Gamecocks halfback Mike Kasky ran for 129 yards on 11 carries, two touchdowns, and halfback Carl Berzel added two scores, including 4-yard scurry with pitch out that proved to be backbreaker at the end of a 97-yard march early in the third quarter. So Brazil's third quarter touchdown provided Carolina with 21-14 lead. Army quarterback Pete Van sparked 53-yard march that expired at Gamecock's 20-yard line. Carolina went 80 yards for sub-halfback Tommy Woodley's 90-yard touchdown sprint. The Cadets appeared to be back in game at Van's touchdown pass to Ziegler that made it 27-20, but Kasky bolted 63 yards to tally soon after Army's kickoff. Now, the upset was only West Point's third defeat in season openers since 1890. Florida upset number 5 Georgia Tech by a score of 13-12 as the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, which hadn't lost a game at home in 4 years, was in trouble from the outset because the Gators surged early, but the bid was turned back at the 3-yard line as Engineers guard linebacker Franklin Brooks made tackle for 6-yard loss and center linebacker Larry Morris picked off the pass. Georgia Tech stopped ensuing drives on downs at its 35-yard line and suffered quarterback Bill Brickman's interception in Florida end zone as the first half ended in a frantic 0-0 duel. So the Gators halfback Jackie Simpson launched third quarter with the 39-yard kickoff return and scored on a 4-yard sweep behind critical block of fullback Maul Hammock, who had 120 yards rushing. Quarterback kicker Dick Allen clicked on extra point. Brigman scored on a sneak after Allen's pass was picked off and returned to the Gators' 17-yard line. A conversion snap by Morris sailed overhead of halfback holder Jimmy Thompson. Fumble recovered by Florida halfback defensive back John Burgess at Tech 13-yard line. Allowed quarterback Bobby Lance to cut back on a 5-yard touchdown keeper for a 13-6 lead in the fourth quarter. So frisky Georgia Tech halfback Billy Tees raced 26 yards to trim margin to 13-12 late in the fourth quarter. But quarterback kicker Burton Grant's time conversion kick sailed wide as Yellow Jackets never saw possession of the ball again. Tennessee defeated Mississippi State by a score of 19-7 in Memphis. While Volunteers wasted 2 chances in the first quarter, they still scored after end Keith Drummond blocked punt near goal line while Bulldogs quarterback punter Bobby Collins, the future SMU coach. Center linebacker Bubba Howe recovered at 1-yard line for Tennessee, and young tailback Johnny Majors blasted toward goal line on second down. Majors fumbled, but Drummond alertly recovered in end zone for a touchdown and 6-0 lead. The Maroons used 9 plays to travel 82 yards to take 7-6 lead early in the second quarter. Halfback Jim Harness launched March with 16-yard gain, caught 34-yard pass from Collins to set up halfback Arthur Davis's 1-yard touchdown blast. Sophomore Major soon made his mark by breaking off his weak side left tackle and speeding away from Mississippi State defensive back John Morris for an 80-yard touchdown dash. Starting Tennessee tailback Jimmy Wade scored in third quarter for 19-yard 7 edge, but second half otherwise was dominated by the Bulldogs. Having interceptions by defensive back Majors, fullback defensive back Terry Sweeney, fumble recovered by end Roger Urbano, blunted Bulldogs scoring threats in Tennessee territory. Number 9 Mississippi defeated Kentucky 28-9 in Memphis. In the nightcap of SEC doubleheader in Memphis, sophomore quarterback kicker Delmar Hughes cracked it sharply angled 24-yard field goal in the first quarter for the 3-0 Kentucky lead. Quarterback Eagle Day soon took over and pitched past to halfbacks Jimmy Patton and Billy Kennard for 70 yards that brought Ole Miss to Wildcats' 3-yard line. Kennard smashed over for touchdown in a 7-3 lead. 100 days long high punt sent Kentucky halfback Billy Mitchell back near his goal line in the second quarter. Mitchell bobbled punt and had to chase it into his end zone. In trying to corral the ball, Mitchell stepped past in line for Rebels' safety. Mississippi's methodical 81-yard drive in third quarter netted Kennard's second touchdown, this from 2-yard line. So the Rebels halfback Red Murhead raced 65 yards on a punt return in the fourth quarter to set up his 2-yard touchdown run for 28-3 edge. So Kentucky earned late touchdown on end Howard Snellenberger's 17-yard catch. The air attack, which was 163 yards, was all Wildcats could muster since their running offense was limited to a meager 8 yards on 29 carries. Alabama defeated Louisiana State in a shutout, 12-0, except for trip that ended at Crimson Tide's 7-yard line. Error-prone Louisiana State was pinned inside its 23-yard line by turnovers for 2 quarters. Banged up Alabama quarterback Bart Starr didn't start. When he entered to hold for a successful second quarter full field goal try, he remained in game to spark Tide offense. Starr hit 7 for 8 for 91 yards in the touchdown pass, including a second quarter 15-yard touchdown pass to halfback Corky Thorpe, who frequently flanked wide to haul in 61 yards receiving on 5 catches. On first play of fourth quarter, Bama fullback Cecil Hootie Ingram raced 68 yards to score behind Chris block of little-known halfback Jerry Chiapparelli. Bengal Tigers played well on defense, led by middle guard Sid Fournette and guard linebacker Paul Ziegler, but its offense could dent Tide territory only 3 times and making only 109 yards of offense. Alabama defensive tackle Sid Youngerman puts considerable pressure on pass attempts by LSU quarterback Al Doggett. It was 4 for 15 for 66 yards and 2 interceptions. Now, this was a big showdown in the battle of 2 top 4 teams. Number 2 Notre Dame played against number 4 Texas, where Notre Dame pitched a shutout 21-0. Number 2 Notre Dame beat number 4 Texas 21-0. As the spirited Longhorns charged out of the tunnel, as halfback Delano Womack raced to the Notre Dame 33-yard line on the game's 4th play, but Fighting Irish defense quickly gobbled up the fumble. Sparked by quarterback defensive back Ralph Uglimi, who turned the game around with 3 interceptions in the first half, Irish took over on its own 22 and 2-yard lines, respectively, with his first and third interceptions. Uglimi's 22-yard touchdown pass to end Dan Shannon for 7-0 lead in second quarter was set up by Uglimi's 42-yard return of his second interception. Uglimi's made 2 touchdown runs in second half behind goal line blocks of left tackle Sam Palumbo, as retired coach Frank Leahy cast mournful glare on sharp coaching debut of young Terry Brennan. Texas reached Notre Dame 9-yard line late in the third quarter but Irish defensive tackle Ray LeMec recovered fumble by fullback Don Maroney, and loss became the first time that the Longhorns failed to score since 1946. Another top 15 showdown was Iowa, the number 12 team in the country, faced number 7 Michigan State, where number 12 Iowa beat Michigan State 14-10. Number 12 Iowa beat Michigan State, the number 7 team in the country, 14-10. So after the first half in hot weather was controlled at 7-0 by Iowa, Michigan State debuting under coach Delphi Darty rebounded on tailback Leroy Bowden's touchdown run and fullback Jerry Paluti's field goal for 10-7 lead in the third quarter. So with 7 minutes to play, Hawkeyes' run attack failed at Michigan State University 13-yard line, but Spartans were stacked up by Never Say Die Hawks line and were forced to punt. Unheralded Iowa sub halfback Eldine Matheson fielded state end punter Don Koff's 47-yard punt and blazed 53 yards to the Spartans' 3-yard line, where a tight tackle Carl Nystrom briefly saved touchdown by knocking Matheson out of bounds. So Michigan State, seeking to hold its 3-point lead, finally succumbed on fourth down as Hawkeyes quarterback Jerry Reichow wedged across from 1 yard line to win it. Afterward, Iowa mentor Forrest Evashevsky expresses doubts about any comeback. I thought we would finish in the third quarter when Michigan State began platooning us, and I didn't think they had the strength to pull it out. Next, Penn State upset number 6 Illinois 14-12. As vulnerable run defense of highly favored number 6 Illinois was exposed for lightning strikes of Penn State for 279 yards on the ground. Before Nittany Lions could establish run game, they permitted interceptions to set up Illinois score in game's first 4 minutes. Quarterback M. Lineback's 20-yard screen pass to halfback Abe Whitson. Lions followed with 2 touchdowns in the first half, and after each score, in-kicker Jim Garrity succeeded with vital extra point kick. So Penn State and defensive end Jesse Ornell captured fumble by Illini fullback Mickey Bates at Illinois 28-yard line in the first quarter, and soon caught 24-yard touchdown pass as the Lions quarterback Don Bailey sprinted 50 yards in the second quarter. Then it lit out again for 6 yards. So before Bailey could be tackled, he flipped lateral to halfback Lenny Moore, who breezed remaining 12 yards to score for 14-6 lead. And fullback kicker Bob Wyman hit crossbar with kick after Woodson's second touchdown in third quarter. Illinois was left to ponder its 2 missed conversions. Late Illinois threats were denied by a 20-yard sack of quarterback Hal Stout by Penn State defensive end Jack Sherry and interception of Stout by defensive back Moore. And finally, number 1 Oklahoma faced number 20 Texas in the battle of 2 top 20 teams. Oklahoma, the number 1 team in the country, beat number 20 Texas Christian 21-16 as balanced Horned Frogs attack had 151 yards rushing and 157 yards passing, rendered serious damage and pushed mighty Sooners to ropes at 16-7 in the fourth quarter. So sophomore halfback Ken Weinberg's 38-yard touchdown catch in the first half might have put game out of reach, but TCU and Johnny Couch honorably confessed to field judge Don Rossi that ball bounced to Weinberg. Rossi, getting help from another official, reversed his call. Purple Frogs failed to add to their lead, with quarterback Gene Kalane on shelf. Oklahoma rallied behind sub quarterback Jimmy Harris's second touchdown run that brought deficit to 16-14 in fourth quarter. Sooners halfback Buddy Leak's 50-yard punt return set up winning touchdown by halfback Bob Herndon that came with less than 5 minutes left. Oklahoma's 47-game winning streak very nearly came to an abrupt end in its early stages at 10 wins prior to this match with up-and-coming TCU. Now the AP poll as of September 27 had Notre Dame at number 1, number 2 Oklahoma, number 3 Iowa, number 4 UCLA, Wisconsin number 5, Maryland number 6, 7 Duke, number 8 Mississippi, number 9 Southern California, number 10 Penn State, Baylor number 11, Texas number 12, number 13 Michigan State, number 14 Ohio State, number 15 South Carolina, number 16 Rice, number 17 Texas Tech, 18 California, number 19 Purdue, number 20 Florida. All right, that concludes the look at the games that were played for week 2, September 25th, 1954. Hopefully you enjoyed everything that I talked about as far as this week in review. Week 2 of the 1954 season, the games that were played during that week of September 25th, 1954, including the games that were played on Friday. There was a couple games that I talked about that was played on Friday, September 24th, 1954. This concludes this part series for today. I'll continue to do the same thing tomorrow, do a video tomorrow. So subscribe to the channel, like, comment, do whatever you can to support the Rashad Mitchell channel on YouTube. This concludes the week that was college football's history and review, the 1954 college football season. Until then, talk to you tomorrow.